In this video, what I wanted to do is kind of like walk you guys through utilization and how important it is to your credit. Now, as you can see, I'm going to do a breakdown of this year, and I'm only going to show you TransUnion, just so you can get the feel and idea of exactly what's going on. So, as you can see here, January 5th, my score was 717. Okay. Go over a little bit more. January 17th, it was 733. January 24th, it went up a point to 734, went up to 738. Then my score started to drop. Still, I'm usually in the 700s, But as you can see, there was a big dip here. Okay, from the 26th to here, March 8th, there was a huge dip in my credit score. What made this happen? So, like I said, I'm going to show you exactly what happened. And this has to do with my utilization. I'm not worried about my score because I don't need the credit right now. But this number will be coming back up as I start to pay down my bills. But there were some certain things that we put in place because of what good credit can get you. Now, if you have good credit, you'll have good credit cards. And if you know how to utilize them properly, then you can actually win and save money. So let me kind of walk you guys through this dip that brought me down to 655. So you see 655, 655. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, see what's changed, so you can kind of see where we are. So as you can see here, March 24th, which is today, my score, there's no change to the score, still is at 655. This balance was paid down by $94. Okay. March 17th is where you see that big, huge drop. Okay. This is where the drop first came into play. Okay. So there were 7 changes to the report. So let me show you how to review those changes so you can kind of see. Actually, this is the March 8th. We're not going to worry about the March 17th. We want to know, why did my score drop 64 points? And I have perfect payment history. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on and see the changes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and show you. This is how come the score dropped. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 accounts where the balance increased significantly. These ones aren't too bad, but these 2 were a huge jump. And let's go ahead and show you where I usually am and where I'm at now. Okay. So as you can see, I always tell you guys to keep your guys' limits between below 10%. So keep your balance 10% or lower than your based on your credit limit. Okay. So as you can see, I went from 8% on this date to 46% on this date. Now, you might be asking, what would make you spend over $9,000 on a credit card? Well, the first thing is points. We use this particular credit card is a United Chase account. So we like to travel. My wife and I, we like to travel. And we're able to spend the money, instead of taking the money straight from my bank account, which, that's what people would do if they didn't have credit cards. But instead of taking the money straight from the bank, what I did is I used the credit card for $9,000. Now I just earned 90,062 points on my credit card. Okay. Those 90,000 points are going to. Okay, sorry about that. I had a call, I had to take that call, so I'm back on with you guys. So like I was saying with this top one, this is a Chase card. So we spent this much money to get the points. I don't know if it's 90,000 or 9,000. It's one of the two. I don't recall. But again, I do it to get the points. So when I open this up, it shows you that I was at 8%, went up to 46%. So this went from excellent to fair. We always want to keep this under 10% utilization. 1 to 7% is a perfect spot that you really want to shoot for. But anything under 10%, I use 10% because the math is easy. Okay, so this is the first one. I'm going to go ahead and go to the second one. So a lot of times you'll hear people say, and this usually comes from people in the real estate industry, is they say to keep your balances at 30% or lower. I think the reason why they want you to keep it at 30% or lower is because of the debt to income ratio, or DTI. So debt to income ratio is how much money you have as far as availability and what you're paying towards your bills. So DTI, debt to income ratio. When you add up all of your bills, and how much that is monthly, they want you to be under like 43%. You know, sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, but back in the day, they used to always say keep your limits at 33% or lower. So sometimes you have a high balance and you're not able to keep it up as far as like paying it down. Here it goes right here. Generally, you should keep your total balances below 30% of your total credit limits for a healthy credit card utilization. So it even says that here on Credit Karma. But if you really want to see the differences of what could happen, get your accounts to below 10%, then charge it up to 30% and watch what happens to this number to see if you're going to lose points or not. And you'll see what happens. Okay, so here was one that was at 33%, which was fair, and it went up to 46%, still fair. Okay, this one I went up from 53% up to 57%. This one I'm paying this off probably in the next month or so. There were some big purchases that were made, and again, points. You do everything for points. Okay. Here's another one. I went from 0% to 1%. So I had a zero balance, and I went and spent a couple $100. So right here, you're doing a great job. Even though your balance went up a bit, you're still using less than 10% of your credit, which makes your credit card utilization rate excellent. So you want to be in that excellent range. You're going to be in the excellent as long as you're under that 7%. And the last one right here, 39%. Okay, $39, I mean. But the balance was at zero balance. I don't know why it's not reporting. But anyways. So you can use Credit Karma as a gauge just to see exactly where you are. Now, if you wanted to see something a little bit more different, let me go ahead and show the details. Now, here's where you see the details. And you can see kind of where I'm at. So even though my credit card use has a high impact right here on my score, I'm only at 24%. Now, what is 24%? What does that mean? So if I click on more details, you can see that I have a very high credit limits. You know, I'm just over 225,000 with credit limits, and my balances total right now are 53,000. I'm almost hitting that 54,000 mark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to document and show you guys in videos that I'm going to make in the future how addressing accounts in a specific order will help me lower my utilization and help increase my scores. So I'm going to do it in a specific order. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do at this point yet, but I will figure it out. And then once I'm ready to show you guys, I'll bring a video to show you guys what I did. Okay. So as you can see, I have 100% history. This right here is based on all of your accounts and what the average is. You want to be over 8 years to really see this go into that green section. I think 7 years will get you into the green section. Increase. It has some increase for over the last 2 years. Okay. So these are all banks I use. This one right here, I didn't realize it was for a business account, and I didn't know it was going to go on my personal credit. But I got the credit card for the business. However, it did go on my personal credit. I didn't realize that. It was from a car we purchased. This one is credit card that I obtained last year, and then this one is when I refinanced my home. Okay, I wanted a lower rate. So these, the way inquiries work, they stay on your credit for 2 years. They don't affect your score after 12 months. So this one is almost not going to be affecting my score. This one's a couple more months, and I'm not worried about the others. Okay, I just want to kind of show you guys exactly. Now, derogatory marks, I don't have any collections or any public records. I pay my payments all on time, as you can see with the payment history. Okay, so this is how you'll be able to see how you pay your bills. Like, are you paying them efficiently or not? Right here, you just use this example. So Credit Karma will give you some good information. You want to use it. Okay, total accounts. I have 14 accounts. Okay, 14 open accounts. Okay, and we already talked about the increase. So I wanted to kind of just do this video to kind of like walk you guys through how my score dipped. And I'm supposed to be the credit professional, right? But as you can see, I don't have any negative information. The only thing that's negative on my credit report really is coming from my credit card use. So that utilization is the main topic of what I made this video for. Is I want you guys to really focus. Now, a lot of times people will come and ask me, hey, listen, I don't have any credit card. What can I do to build my credit? And what I like to tell them is credit is very important to have revolving accounts. Okay, so there's a couple things here that I wanted to touch on, and let me I'm gonna pull up this picture real quick. 1 second. And here's a picture of the components of your FICO score, and I'm gonna talk about this because it goes to what I'm talking about when it comes to revolving accounts. Okay, so the amounts owed is what the revolving accounts is. So as you can see, it's 30%. You can Google FICO pie chart, and you'll see this all day long and twice on Sundays. This is very important for you to understand. So people come to me, and a lot of times people don't listen to the recommendations. Now, I've been doing this for 21 years now. I've been in this credit industry for 21 years. I'm a certified FICO professional, certified by FICO. So I got that certification, and it taught me how FICO scores work. And when I try to recommend certain things to clients to let them know, this is what you need to do to help improve your credit. Because even if I got all the bad stuff off of your credit, it still has nothing to do with the things that need to be reporting on your credit. So a lot of times people come to me and say, hey, listen, I want to buy a house or I want to buy a car. What do I need to do? First thing you need to do is you need to build some positive history. Because without that, you're going to have a low score. If you're going to buy a car, they're going to stick you with a high interest rate. A lot of times they'll give you a high interest rate even if you have a good score. I don't understand it, but they do. And they'll tell you that it's because it's your first auto loan. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about this 30%. Now, FICO score is on the low end is 300, and the highest score you can get is 850. So lowest score you can have is 300, highest you can have is an 850. The lowest I think I've seen was 356 or somewhere around there. 356 was the lowest. The highest I've seen was an 841. Okay, so you have the low end of 300, high end of 850. That's a total of 550 point spread. Okay, so if you take the 30% of 550, that's going to give you 165 points. Okay, so without having revolving accounts, you're losing up to 165 points. Now, why do I stress this so much? Why do I try to help people understand this so much? Well, let's say that you're trying to buy a house and you need a 640 to qualify for a home loan. And let's say you have a 620. By adding positive revolving accounts to your credit, you can get up to 165 points. Now, what does that mean for you? You're at a 620 in this hypothetical situation, 620, right? You're at a 620, and let's say you got 100 points by adding a couple of accounts to your credit report. Not only are you going to qualify for top tier financing in most circumstances, but you're also going to save money on your monthly payment. Because let's say you saved a 0.25%. And let's see what a 0.25% will get you. I'm going to pull up another screen for you, so 1 second. Okay, so we're going to take another hypothetical situation. We're going to say that we're looking for a mortgage of $400,000. Okay, I'm in the Bay Area. You're not getting anything for $400,000 in the Bay. Okay, but we're just going to do this because it might be pertinent to wherever your location is. But we're going to say we got a $400,000 loan, and we're going to say that the interest rate is 2.99%. Okay, for 30 years. You're looking at a payment of $1,684. If you were at the 620, and we're gonna do it on the low end. We're gonna say it was only a 0.25% higher. Now you're looking at $1,739. So that's a $55 difference. But let's say the interest rate for that 620 score was actually 3.65. Now you're at $1,830 per month. Okay, you're at $1,830 per month. So what does that mean for you? Well, let's go ahead and do it again. $1,830. And we're going to change this back to that 2.99 minus 1,684. That's $146 difference. So just by having a better score, you're going to save $146 per month. Okay. Now let's take that $146 over the life of the loan, which is 360 months. That's over $50,000 that you're going to save in interest. $52,560 in this hypothetical situation. Okay. Now, if we go back and we look at the $146, let's see what that would mean if you were to invest some of that into a retirement fund. Okay. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up another calculator. Now, as you can see, we're gonna say that this is a 30-year-old, okay, who plans on retiring at the age of 67. Okay, so that's 37 years to invest. We're gonna say that they have no money saved for retirement at this point. Okay, and how much money will you contribute monthly? Well, we're gonna take that $146, and we're gonna save that, and we're gonna say that the annual return is gonna be 8%. Now, as you can see right here, historically, the 30-year return of the S&P 500 has been roughly 12%. So we're going to go ahead and cut that down. But as you can see, in this particular situation, you're going to put in $64,824. That's right here. Okay. But the growth, which is compounded interest, is going to bring that up by another 331,000, bringing you nearly at 400,000 from the money that you saved on that mortgage. Okay. Yes, you're putting in an extra 7 years at $146. But let's go ahead and just keep it at the 30 years. Let's say that you were 37. Calculate that. So let's say you're 37 years old. We're only doing it for 30 years. So you're saving $52,560 from paying to the bank. Okay? You're paying that money to the bank. You don't get any upside from it. There's nothing that's working for you. You're just paying extra because your credit was bad. So a lot of times people say credit repair is expensive. Well, is it really expensive if we teach you how to use credit wisely? Okay. And I want to go kind of slow with you guys because I want you to really grasp the information that I'm giving you. So again here, $52,560. You're not doing anything different. This is what you would have paid had you had the 620 credit score and were qualified at that interest rate that we talked about earlier. So it's the same amount of money that you'll be paying towards your house, but now this money is starting to work for you. Okay. So we're putting in that much. That amount of money is going to grow that amount, 165,000, giving you over 200 grand. Okay. Now, if we want to go what the average is of 12%, let's see what that would bring it to. Over $500,000. Over $500,000 because you spent a little bit of money to get your credit fixed and learned how to use credit effectively, how to use credit wisely. Now, as you can see, we put that 52,560, we're getting 12% interest. It's going to grow by 450,000, giving you over $500,000. This is only one retirement account. Okay. Now, you have another retirement account. It's called Social Security. When you retire, you get that amount of money. You could always log into the Social Security Administration and try to get to see how much that amount would be. But if you had $500,000 sitting in the bank when you retired, what would that mean for you and your family? Okay. I'm trying to make these videos for you to help educate you guys on proper ways of wealth management. This is just one way. We still have multiple other ways. We have a new program that will be coming out shortly where we're going to teach you how to pay off your home in under 10 years. Have a brand new 30-year loan. We're going to teach you how to do it in under 10 years. So a third of the time you'll be paying off the house. Then you start using that whole amount of money towards your payment for investments. Okay. So imagine having this account at $146. Imagine what would happen, right? Let's say you're 47, right? You're 47. So we already got $500,000 with the $146 a month that you're putting away at a 12% interest rate. You got $500,000 there. Okay. Let's say now you pay off your home. You're 47 years old. You're still retiring at 67. We're going to say 0 here. But now we're putting away $1,684. Okay. And let's say we're going back to that 8%. What is that going to get you? Let's calculate it. Bam. Bam. Do you guys see that? Do you see what I see? So you have $500,000 from saving $146 for 30 years, right? Now your home is paid off. You have 20 years to invest. You're investing that whole house payment that you're paying $1,684 right? You're still paying that. You're putting in, over the life of 20 years, you're putting in 400 grand, right? It's going to grow by 500, almost another 600,000, giving you almost $1 million, right? Now, what would you think when I put in 12% here, which is historical, of a 30-year return of the S&P 500? I'm gonna shortchange it. I'm gonna just go right in the middle, and I'm gonna do 10%. I think it's gonna be upwards of 1.4. I was wrong. I stand corrected. But 1.2, almost 1.3 million is not bad. Plus, you already have another 500,000. Do you guys understand what is going on here? When you learn wealth management, when you learn this information, when you start to implement this information. Now we're going to go to 12%, which is historical. I think it's going to be over 1.5. I was right. This time I was right. Now you got socked away over $2 million by having good credit, learning how to use your credit effectively. This is what we're trying to learn. This is what we're trying to teach. We're trying to teach valuable information that will help you learn to change your thinking. Because if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. I'm trying to change that pattern. I'm trying to disrupt it, trying to change it into a whole different realm. Okay. So this is what we're trying to do for you. We want to make sure that we can help you guys learn this credit game and exactly how it works, how the banks are making their money, how they're getting how they're getting by with growing and growing and growing. Like, you have all these banks, how are they loaning all this money to all these people to purchase homes, and how do they keep the money? This is what you guys need to learn. This is what is going to excel you guys. This is what you guys need to learn. I know I said it more than once. It's not because I'm repeating myself, but it's because I want you guys to understand the importance of it. I want you to understand that we do this because we have a true passion. You know, we're not taught this stuff in school. You know, I did go take a college course that touched on some of these things, but not all of it. So there's different aspects as far as how we're able to pay that house in under a third of the time. Okay. And then how you start putting that same amount you're putting towards your house, you start putting that to your retirement savings. Okay. Because this is basically what you want to do. You want to be able to grow your money and learn how to effectively build your wealth. Okay. These are only two things that we've talked about as far as paying your home off early, getting qualified for a better loan. And it all goes back to what we were talking about earlier in regards to credit utilization. Credit utilization will take you where you need to be. So we're back here. I'm sorry I had to take a quick call, but we're back here, back at the FICO pie chart, back talking about this 30%, back talking about what does 30% mean. 30% means up to 165 points. So what does that mean to you? As I showed you, it could mean upwards of 2.1 million. Okay, that's what this means. So how important is it to you? All you have to do is get there. Once you're there, you're there. Because you don't have to qualify for this other stuff. You only have to qualify for this home loan that we're talking about. Okay? Now, how can we help increase that 2.1 million that we talked about? Very easy. Now we start doing it when we go buy a car. Yes, we're not going to have a 30-year loan on a car. You know, it might be Usually what people are doing now is they're going up to 6 years. Sometimes they'll do 7 or 8. I always want you to keep your interest rates low. And sometimes by keeping it low, you have to get a rate for 3 years. Can you afford that car with a 3-year loan? Okay, because that's when you're going to get the best rates. Usually the manufacturer will have better rates up to 36 months because they're going to get their money faster. What does that mean to you? It means a much higher payment. Okay, or if you can get it up to 5 years, sometimes they'll go up to 5 years. I personally haven't seen 6-year loans with the greatest rates like 0% or 0.9. Can it happen? Of course it could happen. We don't know what they're going to roll out, when they're going to roll it out, and how they're going to roll it out. So we just want to go ahead and do what we can while we can. So I say that to say this: credit is like a fire extinguisher. Okay, it's better to have it and not need it than need it than not and not have it. A lot of my clients, they'll come to me and they say, "Hey, listen, I'm trying to buy a house next month. I'm trying to move, and I need to get my credit fixed. My lease is almost up. I have 2 months to move out. It's not enough time. Can we get things to happen within that time? Possibly, but we don't make any guarantees as far as what we can and cannot do. The only thing I can guarantee is that we're going to work our best for you. We're going to document exactly what we're doing. We're going to put into place very strongly worded disputes. We're not going to talk about this account doesn't belong to me unless, in fact, it doesn't belong to you. And if that's the case, we're going to go a whole different route with it. Because if you have things that don't belong to you and you've been a victim of identity theft, that's a whole different procedure. And most of the cases, most of the times we can guarantee that. However, we won't, but 9 out of 10 times it's going to come off. And if it doesn't come off, we're going to have to send you to an attorney to sue that furnisher or credit bureau for not removing something that doesn't belong to you. Okay. But it's a whole different process. When we do our disputes, our methods, again, they're very, very, very aggressive. You might hear in videos to build one letter off of the previous letter, which is an old way of thinking. However, these algorithms have gotten a lot stronger, a lot more advanced. And so what used to work doesn't work anymore. You have to change with the times. It's like, back in the 80s, they used to have these things called brick phones. Your mobile phone was a brick phone, or maybe in a bag, a big, like a purse, they called a bag phone. But as time evolved, you evolved, we've evolved. So we have to change the credit repair process as the times are changing. Things have happened since last year, since COVID started. They've implemented what's called the CARES Act. They give the furnishers and bureaus extra time to conduct their investigation, and that's why it takes a little bit more time. Because now they're allowing 45 to 60 days to conduct an investigation. It usually doesn't take that long, but that's what's allowed. And we don't want to send in another dispute prolonging that, okay? Because then it will give them additional time. So instead of 45 days, it will push it up to 60 days. When you have one dispute that's gone, and now you have to wait 2 months, 2 full months before you get any results back. Okay, and that's not what we want. One, we do want to work fast. We want to work efficiently, but we also want to work smart. So we're doing certain things based on your credit profile. When you come to us, we're going to evaluate what's on your credit. We're going to process what's called a credit analysis, so we can give you what we see on there that's affecting you. And then we're going to put a plan into place that's customized to your situation. We want to do certain things at certain times to just have certain triggers going off all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So what we're trying to do is effectively and efficiently, in the best way possible that we found, um, over the past 21 years. You know, this year is my 21st year. Okay. Actually, I'm not even at 21 years. You know, I don't want to lie to you guys. I got into credit in June of 2000. So I'm 3 years shy of my 21st anniversary. Um, so yes, we want to make sure that we tackle things. So you have some of the bigger companies, some of these big nationwide companies that are doing credit. Um, you know, there's one big one. A lot of people go to them, and a lot of people go to them and come to me, because they only dispute 1 or 2 items per month. And I wouldn't even say per bureau, because a lot of times I see that's not the case either. So differences between them and me and the company I'm with is that we dispute everything. We may dispute it at certain times of the month. We may dispute them separately, based on the type of reporting that it is. So we might do a personal information dispute letter on its own. We might do inquiry letter on its own. We might do charge-offs on its own, late payments on its own. We don't know what we're going to do until we actually see the profile to see what's going to work best. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and proceed and move forward with our best foot forward. Okay. What we're doing is we're working on this payment history section. So if you look at the payment history section, you'll see that it's you'll see it's 35%. And, you know, we spoke about the low range of 300 is what the lowest score you can have on a FICO score is 300. The highest is 850. So there's a 550 point spread. Okay. And I know I'm being redundant and I'm talking about the same things over and over again, but the reason being is because I want you guys to understand what we're talking about. So that way it will be ingrained into you. So that way you'll know, okay, based on this information, this is why my scores have gone up or gone down. But payment history is 35%. That's 192.5 points that you could lose if you make missed payments, if you have collections, if you have public records, if you have charge-offs. These types of things are going to kill your score because you're going to lose up to 192.5 points. Now, that's 35% of your score. That's not all of your score. And a lot of companies, when they're working on your credit, that's all they're addressing. They're only addressing 192.5 points. Okay? But there's 100%. If you add up the 35, the 30, the 15, the 10, the 10, that's 100%. And if you're only focusing on 35% but ignoring 65%, there's a lot of points that you're missing. Okay? A lot of points you're missing. So what does that mean to you? Now, a lot of times you might hear, and we're going to talk about this right now. I'm going to go up to new credit. How much of your available credit is new? Okay. A lot of times what they call this is inquiries. So if we take that 550 point spread from the 300 to 850, 550 points, 10% is for that section, or 55 points. So sometimes you'll hear people say, oh yes, an inquiry is worth 5 points, or an inquiry is worth 2 points. And that's just not the case. Nobody knows how many points an inquiry is worth because it's based on that specific individual's credit, what scorecard they're in. A scorecard is a whole different beast. There's so much to talk about when it comes to scorecard and how those work. But there's over 4,000 scorecards. Okay, so which scorecard do you fall in? It all depends. We don't know. Even though I've been trained by FICO, they don't really break down the exact algorithm and how those figures come to play. Okay, so I want you guys to really understand this because it's very important. You don't want more than 2 inquiries on your credit report, period. If you have 2, wait for a year. Those 2 will still stay on for another year, but it won't affect your credit. So just 2 within the last year. Okay. Now, because we're talking about the other 65% of your score, these are the things I'm trying to help address for you. Okay. Now, I want to go back. Actually, no. Let's talk about types of credit used. It's called credit mix. You might hear of it as credit mix. And this, what is credit mix? It's a mix of all the credit that you have on your report. So that would be credit cards, retail credit, student loans, mortgages, car loans. Those types of things are credit mix. Now, people come to us and they say, hey, I don't have any credit I don't have any type of credit. What can I do to fix my credit? If you don't have any credit, you have to start somewhere. Okay. It's like when you build a house, you have to have a foundation. So without the foundation, the house is going to crumble. Same thing with credit. If you don't have a foundation, your credit's going to crumble. Okay. So that's why we have what we call our credit building blueprint. The credit building blueprint will walk you through certain accounts that we recommend to get to report to your credit report, because once those items report to the credit report, it's going to help increase your scores. Going back to that 30%. Okay. So what do we recommend? In a perfect world, what I recommend is to have a minimum of 5 revolving accounts. 1 installment loan, that could be a student loan, a car loan, and a mortgage. That's, in a perfect world, the minimum that I recommend. Okay. But sometimes you won't qualify for a mortgage because you're just starting. You might be young, never started with credit, don't know how credit works. That's why I'm trying to do this video, is to try to help you understand how the FICO score works, what's needed, how to help increase it, how to build on it. These are the types of things we're trying to help you build properly. Okay. And then that third section is 15% is credit history. And like you remember in the Credit Karma slide that I showed you earlier, credit history, you want to have at least 7 years. So how long have you been using credit? So if you have one account, let's say you've had an account open for 10 years. Okay. You have 10-year history reporting. Let's say you go ahead and open another account. Now you have 2 accounts. The second account is just open. You have the other account, it's open for 10 years. Now you have 5-year history because you take the 2 accounts and divide it by the 10. Okay. So that's kind of how the history works. But the history is 15%. So it's not a small amount of points. It's not a small amount of points. It's 82.5 points. So as you can see, there's an intermingling of every section of this report. Okay. Each section handles something differently. So when you have a revolving account, it does count towards credit mix, and it also counts towards revolving credit. So that's up to 40%. So as you can see, it's intertwined. You can get up to 40%. Now let's say you go ahead and order that say you have a student loan or you have a car payment, or you want to get a personal loan. We have personal builder loans that we can recommend for you, which will help you with a revolving account. That revolving account, installment account. That installment account will give you the money back at the end of the term. So let's say you did a 12-month term for $47 a month. You pay $47 a month for 12 months. At the end of the 12 months, you make all your payments. You have credit history reporting for a installment loan. It counts as 10% towards your credit score. You're getting up to these extra points. It's going to help you in the long run. It's going to help build your credit. And as your credit starts building, as the history starts building, your credit starts getting what we call in the industry is a thick file. You want it to be a thick file, not a thin file. What is the difference between thick and thin? It's like, let's say you put a piece of paper for every account you have, and you put another piece of paper when you get another account. And every account you get, you just start adding stacks to the paper. The more you have, the more history you have, the thicker that file gets. Let's say you don't have anything. Let's say you open one account and you have just one piece of paper. It's very thin, thick and thin. That's what we're talking about here. So I hope that you guys are kind of understanding why we recommend revolving accounts in our credit building blueprint. The reason being is because 30% is the second highest section of the FICO pie chart behind payment history. Payment history is what got you into trouble in the first place. So we need to figure out a way to address payment history. How are we going to fix that? Okay. But it's the second highest behind that, up to 165 points, that 30%. So you want to get some revolving accounts and not spend more than 10% of the credit limit. If you have a $1,000 credit limit, don't spend more than $100. If you do, make sure you pay it down. Now let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. Paying it down. When do you pay it? Do you pay it on the due date? Do you pay it before the due date? This is my recommendation. Call the company. Let them know, hey, listen, I have this account. I want to know when you guys report it to the credit bureau. Whatever date they tell you, let's say they tell you that your due date is the 15th of the month, but they report on the 5th. Pay it a few days before that. I'd say at least 3 days before the date that they report. That way the account will post. The payment will post. If it's a weekend, and they had to wait till the Monday to post that payment, the payment gets posted prior to them reporting it to the credit bureau. So that's my recommendation for that. Always find out the due date so you know what the due date is. And secondly, find out the report date that they report to the credit bureaus. Very important two-step touch that you want to do on all of your accounts. Now, payment history, I just talked about how to address payment history as far as getting your payments paid on time. I recommend this to everybody, and I'm going to recommend it to you as well. Set up all of your payments on automatic bill pay, whether it's with the creditor or with your bank. Again, we just found out when our payments are due and when we want to pay them by. So make sure to get every single payment set up by that due date. That way, you'll never be late again. Now, a lot of times people will say, well, what if I don't have money in the bank? Glad you asked. It's a perfect question to ask because it's very relevant to what we're talking about. A lot of times people will overdraft their accounts because they spent too much money. Now they got the $35 overdraft charge, okay, or $29, whatever the case is. So this is one of the things that we recommend as well, creating a budget. You need to know your exact income and you need to know your exact expenses. How much are you bringing in as opposed to how much you're spending every month? Because if you don't know, you're going to overdraw your account. So how do you do that? How do you do that? Get a spreadsheet, get a piece of paper, mark everything down. Mark down every single company, what your balance is, what your payment is, minimum payments. You'll hear things like debt snowball or debt avalanche. It's really good to put your budget into place so that way you know where every dollar that you got coming in is going, because you want to make sure that you save some of that money that's coming in. Okay. A lot of times what I always recommend is how much money you're putting into your retirement account, whether it's a 401k, IRA, life insurance, whatever the case is, how much you bring in as far as how much you're getting from your job. And I'm not asking you how much you get paid, because a lot of my clients, believe it or not, a lot of my clients, they come in and I ask them, what is your income? How much do you bring home? How are you paid? Are you paid weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, monthly? How are you paid? Okay, okay. Once I know how they're paid, I want to know how much their paycheck is. And let's say somebody is making $10 an hour. That's 400 a week on a 40-hour work week. So I asked them, how much are you getting paid? $400 pay period. How often are you paid? Paid weekly. Okay, so you make $10 an hour. Yes. Okay, but how much is your paycheck? 400. No, your paycheck. I want to know how much your check is after taxes, after everything, after all the deductions come out. How much do you bring home? Because this is where it comes into play. How much do you bring home? Okay. Once they figure out how much they bring home, okay, I bring home $310. Okay, great. They're taking $90 out. Okay. Now what you could do is you can do a little bit of math. Do a little bit of math, put a little bit of money into your 401k. Let's say you put in $25 a month or a pay period. Let's say that $25 offsets the amount that you have to pay for taxes, and you're still bringing in $310, but now you're also putting in $25 per pay period to your 401k. Remember the 2.1 we talked about earlier? This will help increase that number. Even though $25 isn't that much, but now you're saving the money on the taxes from that money. Okay, so it's a little bit of math you have to do, and you can talk to somebody about that. Maybe Google it. Maybe I can do a video later on. But there's ways to offset it, because when you put in retirement funds, you're not taxed on the money that you put in. Okay, so that might be an option for you to put a little bit of money away in a 401k and take it from there. Okay, so these are. I know I spoke about a lot of things, and there's a lot of things that we talked about in this video. I recommend that you watch it over and then over again, and then watch it another time, so that way it can get ingrained into your mind as far as what we're trying to teach you, what we're trying to show you, how this could help you, how credit affects your life, how credit affects your finances. Because our ultimate goal is to help you keep more money in your pocket for you and your family, rather than giving it to the banks. Because if you just give the money to the banks are just going to get richer while we get poor. Okay, and that's not my goal for you. That's not my plan for you. I want to make sure that I give you value that's going to help you and your family, not just today, not just next month, not next week, not next year, but for the rest of your life. This is what finances is about. This is what it's all about. Whether it's staying in your pocket or you're giving it away. And my bet, and I will guarantee this bet. My bet is you'd rather keep the money in your pocket rather than giving it to the banks for the exact same thing that you would have if you had good credit. You know, because if you have good credit or bad credit, you could still buy the same thing. You know, you could still go out and you can buy a $40,000 car with good credit and bad credit, but you might be looking at a $500 payment as opposed to an $800 payment. Now, could you imagine if I put that $300 in to see what it would bring, what it would give you? Can you imagine? And all of these things just stacked on top of each other, one on top of the other. It comes down to the budget. So even though this was about credit, we talked about mortgages, we talked about saving money, based on having a good credit score versus a bad credit score, the amount of money you save, how to put it away, how to help increase your net worth. What do you want to do? What is your ultimate goal? I mean, I want it bad for everybody, but I can't want it more than you want it for yourself. You know, you've heard the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. In this video, I'm trying to give you the water. I'm trying to quench your thirst. This is a thirst that you might not know you needed, but this is a thirst that you do need. Not just for you, but also your family, your children if you have them. You know, what can you do? And I know they say money isn't everything. I understand money isn't everything. It's not. But when you have it, I've never seen, you know, they say money doesn't make you happy. Money can't make you happy. But I've never seen somebody on a jet ski who wasn't happy. I've never seen somebody go snowmobiling who wasn't happy. I've never seen somebody go on vacation who wasn't happy. All of these things, they cost money. It's true, it costs money. But if I can help you save some to reach your goals, your financial goals, then that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that I help you get to where you need to be. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to your credit. Credit's going to tell you how much you pay for things. Credit's going to show you that if you have good credit, how you can walk into a dealership and buy a vehicle and walk off the lot with a brand new car and not spend a dime. And they'll fill up the car for you. Fill up your first tank of gas. They'll wash the car for you. Is this what you want? Do you want to go into that dealership and get a brand new car because your credit is good? Is that a point where you can just go in, you can get the best rates, qualify for that? Or do you want to have bad credit and go in and have to buy an older car, maybe 10 years older or more, and put a $5,000 down payment and have a 27% interest rate? I had a client who was paying $1,000 a month for his car payment. And he had just got the car right before he started working with us. He just got the car. It was an older car. Charged him 27.99% interest. I don't know what his down payment was, but I do know his payment was $997 a month. And I do know that he had made 3 or 4 payments. And I do know that his balance only went down $200. I want to say he made 4 payments. So that's $4,000 that he paid, plus whatever his down payment was. And the balance only went down $200. I wanted to cry for him. I wanted to just cry, period, because I see it happen too many times. I deal with thousands of clients, you guys. I deal with thousands of clients, and I look at these credit reports, and the first thing I do when I see an auto loan is I go to check and see where they are with that loan. How much interest are they paying? It's the first thing I do. I go and I Google auto loan calculator, and I put in the amount of the loan. You'll see that. And then after I put in the amount of the loan, I'll see what the interest rate is. Let me give you an example. And this is my car payment right here. As you can see, my high balance is $27,799. Okay, my high balance. As you can see, I don't know why I said 73 months, 72, but 73 months. Okay, 73 months. I still owe $22,013. Okay, so open accounts current. Okay, as you can see, I paid over $5,000 on the car since last month. I bought it in March 1st. No, excuse me, March 19th is when I bought it, right before the pandemic hit. So I've made payments for 1 year now. First payment wasn't due till April. So I paid over $5,000. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the loan calculator. Now as you can see, I put the same amount of the high balance on my credit report, $27,799 at a 2.72% rate for 73 months gives you my payment of $414. You see how I came up with that? So this is what I do with every single client who comes through if they have an auto loan. I want to check to see what their interest rate is. Now let's say they had a $600 car payment. Everything's still the same, but the payment's $600. How do I figure out the interest rate? Well, I start guessing. So 16.1% would give a $600 car payment. In this specific example, they would save $186 for 6 years. $186. $186 is going to add up really fast. It's $13,392. Do you want to give that away? Do you want to give that $186 away? Or do you want to keep it? It's 2.72. 2.72. So we got $186. So what would happen if we paid that off on this car? How fast would we pay it off? We're going to pay it off in 49 months. 49 months. So instead of 6 years, we'll pay it off in just over 4. That's what we're talking about when we want to save you money. You pay that same amount of money. One, you're going to have a less chance of getting the car repoed or repossessed, having to deal with the extra fees. There's a lot of things that come with good credit, you guys. And I just want to be able to help you. If you guys want to go ahead and talk to me, schedule an appointment. I'm going to go ahead and leave my my calendar on the bottom in the description below. Schedule an appointment with me. Talk to me for 15 minutes. It's free. Let me kind of walk you through how we might be able to help you. Okay. The only thing that we ask is that you get a copy of the credit report. Okay. It's a 7-day trial for $1. They do charge $25.95 a month after that, but at least we can get a trial. We can go ahead and process a credit analysis for you. We can shoot that to you for free. It will be a report based on the findings of what we find on that credit report. So reach out to me. Let me see what I can do for you. If we're a good fit, I'd love to have you as a client. But I'd love to just help educate you on any questions that you guys might have in regards to credit, the process, how it works, and if you have specific questions. But just keep in mind, it is a 15-minute call, so we won't have that much time to go over too much information. But it's available for you. So with that being said, I want to thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day. I know it's been just over an hour, but I do thank you for listening. Share this video. We ask that you share the video because there's a lot of information we talked about, a lot of good information on how to save for retirement, but we just want to get the information out to as many people as possible. So if you guys have questions, you can comment below. I'd love to reach out to you. Or schedule an appointment with me and let's get you on the books to talk about your specific situation. With that being said, you guys have a good day. Thanks again.